paid-it-all winner for this.
It's the biggest race we have all year long.
The icons of this sport have all starred on its biggest stage.
It's the great American race. Trust me.
I won the Daytona 500. I won the Daytona 500.
Pull them belts tight one last time, boys. Light the fire.
Big push coming now for Harvick. Oh, and around goes a couple cars. Priest upside down. He's barrel rolling through the grass.
You got plenty of money. Don't need that to keep racing. Is it worth the risk to keep on going?
Sure, to win.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael D.Y. Joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves an Alex Bowman type of weekend. Alex Bowman breaking that winless streak just like he broke his back last year. Long and painful. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Oh,
It's
man.
on the Tuesday show, boys. Immediately, the train just started going down the track, and it just right off a cliff.
I apologize for that one. That just came out. I don't know where that came from. That was insane. I'm sorry. But make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. You know what to do. Fellas.
A back injury right off the top.
It's a Tuesday show, baby. Did the back injury not contribute to that giant winless streak, though? And he had a concussion the year before, too. So
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you that that's what happened.
Alex Bowman was definitely against all odds this last couple months. And he finally got it done. Chicago street course. Boys, none of us picked it, but I did call it in our text message. I do want the record to show he was fastest in practice in a 5 and 10 lap average. He was the highest in the Whitey speed score. That is a secret proprietary speed score I use for fantasy racing. But glad to see him get the win. A lot of rumors swirling around him. And being in the 48, so that seems like this probably locks that in for him, too. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I like Bowman in that win. I think it's fitting. We've talked about it recently here about the way he's been running, I guess, to start his years before what Whitey mentioned to start the show. He replicated that again this year. And we all wondered, hey, can he keep this going again? And he did up to this point, and I think it was a deserved win by Alex Bowman.
Yeah. People forget before the back injury last season, he started the first couple races really strong in 2023 too, and just unfortunate. Matt, what are you going to add there though?
I was just gonna say, if you've been paying attention, this didn't come out of nowhere. He's been logging the top tens, seemingly every week, and it's been coming, and just a couple of the right circumstances happened where he was in position, but that's racing. There's going to be circumstances that puts you in position. He might not have been the best car on Sunday, but he was in the right position and then ended up being the best car at the end of the race. So yeah, it was well-deserved. And I loved his post-race interview talking about, what did he say? Waking up naked in a bathroom again or something like that. He's going to drink all the bourbon, and then he sends out the picture the next morning at 6:30 a.m. I'm getting ready for work, and he's still up, partying.
Yeah.
So, man, that's how good those race wins feel. They do not come often to a lot of guys. To most guys, they don't come often, and when they do, you gotta soak it in.
Yeah, big congratulations to him. But let's jump into the NASCAR news before we get into the rest of the race weekend. We picked last week where we left off. We were saying Josh Berry was rumored to sign with the Wood brothers soon, and sure as shit, he did the next day. It was reported last week that they announced. I can't read on a Tuesday. He signed with the Wood brothers. So last Wednesday, I wrote this whole thing how they announced it the day after we did the podcast, and I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, what do you guys think? Matt, you're the resident Josh Berry fan of the podcast. I know you're not too thrilled, but not too upset at the same time. Kind of go through what your thoughts on the move to the Wood brothers are.
Yeah, I mean, it was It was known pretty much right away, or even before the announcement became made official, that Rodney Childers wouldn't be going with him. And we found, I know we've got that news coming up in a little bit where he's headed to. But that was my biggest thing was, hey, if he's going to the Wood Brothers, because it's been rumored for a couple weeks now, please bring Rodney with you because we know what he can do to a car. He's, the proof's in the pudding with him over the past 15 years.
Championship winning crew chief,
It makes me a little nervous.
Hell of a cheater too.
It's who isn't a cheater though in NASCAR?
But he's like next level
He's
shit.
the king.
He's the king.
Dog.
That's all I'm thinking about. Yeah. Insane innovation.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Anyway, that's why I want him to be my crew chief. But and then he's going to a car that's historically, one of the best cars ever in NASCAR history, but as of recently hasn't been sniffing even top 10s or 15s. And but the good news is they're essentially a Penske team. It's just, Wood Brothers slapped on there, and we know how Penske's been racing. And so all three of them have wins. So if anyone can turn that ship around, I think Josh Berry's the guy to do it. I'll be interested to see who the crew chief is because I don't believe they had named one yet. And we'll see. We're about to find out, was it the car or was it the driver in that 21 this year? And I think it was the driver, but we're going to get the answer about this time next year. We'll know how much Josh Berry was able to improve that team. So I'm cautiously optimistic. For me, I don't follow a team or a car or a number. I follow a driver. I've kind of always been that way. And Josh Berry, I'm just drawn to him in every way as far as being a race fan. So he could have went to, a back marker and I still would be, that's my guy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. And I'm rooting for him. Hopefully he could take a top 25 car and move it into the top 10, obviously top 10, but like top 15 realistically, if he could start running between 15th and 20th to start the season, then just watch him kind of slowly move his way up. That'll be what I'm really excited to see next year.
Yeah, I think the possibility is there too. Look at what Matt DiBenedetto did in that car before he was let go. I feel like he was running top 15 pretty much every week on a consistent basis.
We all said it too when it happened. When Harrison Burton got named to that 21, we all kind of questioned it then, like, whoa, was that the right call? Is he ready? He wasn't doing crazy things in the Xfinity series, and we all felt like that was a premature move too. And so I'm hoping that's what it is. I'm hoping, nothing against Harrison Burton, wherever he ends up, I'm sure he'll figure it out. But he's also super young still, where Josh Berry's got a ton of stock car experience.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
I think it has a lot to do with driver, like Matt is saying, but I also think that crew chief matters as well. Like, I think, Josh Berry's going to be a better driver in that 21, and I think he's going to automatically take that to top 15s, no doubt about it. But in order to take that from top 15s to winning, I think that's where that crew chief is that crucial part. I think there's a lot of drivers out there that can run top 15 in certain equipment, no doubt about that. But I think it's the crew chiefs that really make championship teams, and crew chief makes a championship driver sometimes.
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of people don't look at that, as much as I think maybe they should. As a casual race fan out there, they might not be thinking, hey, like, oh, it's just a crew chief. Oh, well, how if the driver's the guy out there on the racetrack? Yeah, but if you really,
can't
get
drive a
into
slow
it,
car fast,
Exactly. And it's, he's in his ear constantly and telling him how to do this. And it's the understanding what Josh is going to be saying. And, so it's not just up to the driver to relay it to the crew chief. The crew chief has to know how to relay that information that was given to him and make an adjustment. So there has to be a trust there. There has to be a confidence in what you're saying in your voice to your crew chief, and same going back, your crew chief to your driver. You as a driver, you're trusting that setup in that vehicle into turn one.
Yeah,
you have to be able. That trust has to be there. That, hey, I know this is the way you like your car. This is how it's set up, and you have to enter that. So, I think they're seamless. I think a lot of times drivers could be bust, like Harrison Burton. We don't know. It's still, like Matt said, super young. I don't want to put a bust on anybody because in our sport, a bust, it's tough because of circumstances like I just said. If you don't have a crew chief, if you're not in the right car, like there's there's talent out there, but you have to be in the perfect whirlwind of everything. And just because you get a good ride, man, if you don't get a good pairing, I mean, we talked about a couple weeks ago. Look at Cole Pern and, with Truex and all of that. So it's just, it matters. And I hope whoever is in that 7 car, I just hope it's not Corey LaJoie, put it that way, because I can't see Rodney going out like that.
I believe they already announced that it's going to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, and
I know.
That's Eric alluding to the next story. Today it was announced Rodney Childers is heading to the 7 car for Spire in 2025. So it looks like Corey LaJoie is getting a championship-winning crew chief. I was listening to Dave Moody, and he said, Corey LaJoie is going to get fast cars now. And all I can think is, Spire already has fast cars. Carson Hocevar is proving it, So, anyways, I don't know. What are your thoughts on him going to the 7 car?
I mean, I agreed with what a lot of the people voiced on the internet, which is when it comes to these jobs, I feel like a lot of times in his position that Rodney's in, if he's going to a lesser team, as Inspire, like, he wants to have probably more control than just doing his duties. I think he wants to have his fingerprint on a lot of other things and how everything goes and operates. And I think they're allowing that maybe over there. I mean, could he chase the bag? Yeah. I mean, why not? But to me, I think it's more of a, hey, like, let me try to get trust me on this. Give me a little bit of power around here. And you want to really turn this around. Well, let me turn it around. Don't just let me, crew chief your driver. Let me oversee some other things. And I think he could do a really good job of that. And we'll see. I think it's just time now. We'll see what happens. And I guess just as in Harrison Burton with Josh Berry, we'll see, what's going to happen. But now this is a make or break for, Corey LaJoie with the crew. Like, hey, you're getting a championship crew chief. If you can't win now, this is what we thought his straws, it was like done. Like, there's nothing else he could. Now he's getting another opportunity.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how this guy just trashes cars every week.
Who is this guy?
Yeah, and he just keeps getting his opportunity. He gets in the 9 car. He gets this opportunity championship crew chief. Like, man, I guess he's stacking pennies or something. Dude.
Something.
Sure.
Well, I don't get it because he doesn't bring any sponsorship unless he is bringing sponsorship and we don't realize it. But I'm liking what Spire's doing, though. I like Spire's commitment to getting better. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. They used to be 4 laps down in a 77 car with part-time drivers every week. Now they're really making a big commitment. I'd actually kind of like to see Rodney Childers and Michael McDowell pair up over at Spire instead, really see what the equipment can do. Because honestly, I think McDowell is a way better driver than Corey LaJoie ever will be.
I think that's undeniable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that is undeniable.
If LaJoie doesn't perform next season, like there's no reason why he should have a seat. I think the only reason why he has a seat is because him and his dad make everyone's seats. Literally, they pour everybody's seats. That's their company. That's the only explanation I can have for him still being in the Cup Garage today. If you want to follow the Bumper Run Pod on Twitter, you'll see more of my thoughts on Corey LaJoie, more uncandid thoughts, real time too. I can't believe he cracked up a car during qualifying, fucking idiot. Anyways, what should we call it? Speaking of Chicago street race, we weren't, but during the weekends. During the weekend.
Listen, wait, hold on. Before we go any further, can I just explain something to everyone? We're just a couple days away from going to Pocono for the weekend for the race.
Yeah.
And our minds are already there.
Yeah.
So just bear with us the next hour or whatever this might take. It might be another only 15 minutes. We don't know. We don't know how long this is going to take, but just bear with us. We're going to make mistakes today and just come along with the ride, man.
My broken back joke threw me off completely in the intro. We never even talked about our weekends. Fellas, how was your weekend? How'd you enjoy your weekend?
It was the 4th of July. It was America's
4th of
birthday.
July.
I didn't get to talk about that.
My birthday was on Sunday. I went to see Willie
Whitey,
Nelson.
happy birthday.
Thank
Happy
you.
birthday.
I did a lot of shit this weekend. That's another thing. I'm still fucking tired. Sunday, I went to Willie Nelson. I had work yesterday. Couldn't get the day off. So I got home at 1 o'clock, slept for like 4 hours, and then went to work all day. I passed out at 9 o'clock, boys, last night. 9 o'clock. I'm still
you're saying
exhausted.
that like
that's
crazy.
normal for me, buddy.
Yeah,
That's normal for me.
Nah, man. I'm a 10:30, 11 o'clock guy. I'll go to bed at midnight tonight. Anyways.
Normal circumstances, we've been about 10, 15, 10:30, but when it gets going, when it gets busy and we're busy, it's like as soon as he goes down, the baby goes down, we'll stay up for another half hour and then it's right to bed.
Yeah. Put a show or a YouTube video on and you're snoozing before.
Especially because like we're in the middle of a heat wave here in northeastern Pennsylvania, and that just sucks the life
So hot
out
up
of
here
me.
right now.
It's so hot. Dude, Pocono's going to be so hot during the day. Thankfully, it's in the 60s at night, so we'll get some nice cool nights.
Listen, we dealt with, I believe it was 95 3 years ago with a heat index of like 103 for like 3 straight days.
Yeah.
That's not going to be this year. It's looking like low to mid 80s, overcast. There's probably going to be rain because it's Pocono. And
I think the humidity is going to absolutely be the killer, though.
Yeah.
I think in a way, it's like, what is worse? Like 100 degrees, blue skies, and just dry, or 78, 83, and a 1,000,000% humidity with light mist in the air. I don't know.
I don't know.
I think we'll be all right. I think
We're going to find out.
Especially up in the mountains, man. And then once that sun goes down, like our night times, like it gets.
That's what I'm hoping.
It's
like,
dude, it's so hot in Pennsylvania. You know how they have those cooling towels? They're sold out everywhere. You can't find one in a Walmart in the Valley. It's insane.
Too bad you don't know an industrial supplier.
Oh man, Fastenal from all my industrial supply needs. Man, you grab a couple of those for us on grab them out of the warehouse real quick. Are you in a warehouse anymore? Or are you in a corporate office? You're making
I'm bringing some. I have like 3 or 4 of them in a cooler I'm bringing with like ice and shit just to dunk them in.
I have one somewhere. I don't know where it is. Anyways,
but yeah, we're going to Pocono, so we're a little anxious to get there. That's where we were getting at. So we're a little wet noodle brain for this pod today.
Didn't even start packing it. I'm doing it all tomorrow. It's gonna be a fucking disaster. Anyways, during the Chicago Street Race weekend, NASCAR showed off their new electric vehicle. I don't know if you guys saw the videos of the start. Dude, it's quick. Over 1,000 horsepower equivalent. Sounds kind of cool too. Sounds like an RC car on steroids. But the reason why I bring it up is NASCAR is in advanced talks to invest in Nitrocross, a move that would allow NASCAR to play a role in EV racing series, but without being one of its national circuits. So for all the people who saw that video and were like, oh, NASCAR's going down the shitter, thinking that the Cup Series is going to get replaced by batteries, it's not. They're just looking to expand in other racing series. What do you guys think about that? I'm sorry.
Can we focus on fixing the actual fucking Cup Series before we start expanding to other series?
I mean,
that's what my thought is. I don't give a shit about electric vehicles. That's fine.
Yeah.
Do whatever you got to do. But let's fix the goddamn Cup Series before you start expanding to other things, because we've got a fucking ton of problems that need fixing on the Cup Series side of things.
Listen,
that's where my thought process is.
Okay, so here's the thing. Everyone's big complaint is about the short tracks and NASCAR not having enough horsepower and tire wear. Well, EVs weigh a hell of a lot more than gas cars, right? Tire wear automatically built in, and over
That's not the Cup Series.
I know, but over 1,200 horsepower, it gives me hope for at least a competitive series to watch. I don't know.
But that's not the Cup Series.
Yeah, I get it.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to be a smart ass.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna watch it.
No, I'm probably not going to watch it.
Just like SHR, or not SHR.
It's a big waste of money, and it's a distraction. Whenever something like this happens, what is it? This is all just a big distraction away from their real problem, which is their real sport, which is NASCAR.
That's true.
Matt, you're completely right about it. And you know what? Like, this is just, in my eyes, it's something to please somebody that is amongst the uppers. Okay, yeah. Go ahead, like a little project they gave somebody to do. Yeah, this will be a good distraction for you. Go ahead, go and do that. You know.
Like I'm not anti-electric or green or whatever I'm not anti that. I'm just saying, like, fix the products that you have first before you start expanding, because we've got so many issues that we see week in and week out with the current car, with tracks, with the way the dynamic works of the charter system. That's a fucking mess. Like teams not getting paid and NASCAR being greedy and all that. Like we gotta fix the issues, the main issues at hand before we decide to do anything else. And we're just whatever. It is what it is.
I get it. I'm just, I thought it was a cool story. Anyways, whatchamacallit, Connor Daly is IndyCar racer, is going to run a few truck races for Nice Motorsports. I just bring it up because I think Connor Daly's a cool personality. He does a podcast on Dirty Mo Media, and I wish him well on that. And then the big story of earlier in the weekend was Hailie Deegan and AM Racing parting ways. Josh Berry is going to run the Xfinity car in Pocono. We saw Joey Logano run it in the street course, and that was a big indicator that Hailie Deegan probably wasn't going to return.
You know what was crazy to me was, like, Joey was telling the crew chief what to do.
Yeah.
But, like, that's insane. Which, in a larger point, and I think I made it with you guys, is how impressive. Like, everyone, like, you hear people, outsiders who don't watch NASCAR, you hear them, I could get in a car and I could drive and yada yada yada.
No, you can't. You can't.
It's not just driving, it's knowing the vehicle, it's knowing what the right shock's doing, it's knowing what the back left is feeling like, it's knowing what the balance is like, whether it's out of tune, whether we're plowing or whether we're tight or whatever it might be. And there's so much that goes into it. And Junior says it all the time. Being one with the car, it's an extension of your body when you're in there. It's another limb. You are, like, the car is you, and you feel everything.
You feel it in your seat, You literally feel it in your ass in your seat,
Yeah, to your hands, to everything, to the way, like, things sound, and, like, you need to know all that. And the fact that, we bust Joey's balls all the time, and that'll never change. But just it's super impressive that he could just go ahead and relay all that information to the crew chief, and the crew chief be like, oh, okay, like, well, I guess I'll make those adjustments. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But on a selfish side, I'm pumped to see Josh Berry run the Xfinity race on Saturday.
I'm excited too. If you didn't see the tweet we're talking about, Joey Logano, the crew chief of AM Racing, asked, I forget, he was saying, like, oh, we're making good grip, but I need, like, a little bit more. We need this adjustment. And the crew chief basically said, well, do you want to, I guess it was building grip. It was like, do you want less air pressure or more air pressure? And he goes, well, it's building grip as the run goes, so you want less air pressure. So Joey Logano was explaining to the crew chief air pressure adjustments and how they work. So, I mean, a lot of people love to shit on Hailie Deegan. A lot of people love to defend Hailie Deegan. I'm just going to say, if the crew chief doesn't know what adjustment to make with air pressure,
there's no shot.
There's no chance for her either. I think Joey Logano, finished top 15?
I think 10th.
10th, something like that.
I think he was running top 10.
I think it might have actually been 8th.
I think you're right. I think it is 8th. For some reason, 8th sounds right.
I'll tell you in a second here.
I think he qualified 15th, ran 8th.
But to your point, Whitey, though, like, I just think she's done a disservice. We talked about this in the text messages earlier today. Like, I think, like you said, people like to shit on her. Oh, she's not going to make it, this and that. Okay, well, she gets media attention too, because there's drivers same caliber as her that aren't going to get the same attention.
Exactly.
When she is. So it's like she's handling it as well as she can. And it's funny to think that, like you said, she should just be able to get an Xfinity and be able to do this. The crew chief doesn't even know what he's doing. And, like, you have all these people chirping and run. They have no idea what's going on or what the situation is. And that's the thing.
That's the thing. If she doesn't have the experience, if she doesn't have the team, if she doesn't have the racing experience to help that crew chief along like Joey Logano does, they're both out to lunch, And
he finished 8th. He did finish 8th.
Finish 8th? Oh, okay. And then, whatchamacallit, to your point on that, too, Dave Moody made this point yesterday. I heard it. He goes, someone finishes behind Hailie Deegan every week, and someone finishes just one spot in front of her, and no one ever calls for their job. No one ever, shits on them for that. So
that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it's just she gets a bigger eye, and you know, the media attention is on her, and it's like it's unfortunate because we would say the same thing about some of those other people that you're talking about who finished right there in front or behind her, which is like, oh, they're in shitty equipment, or oh, you know, there's some back marker. Like, she doesn't get that same, you know, response at all. And it's like, okay, she didn't come from like a normal NASCAR background and like, you know, okay, let me learn this. Let me go in and like get thrown into the fire in the truck series.
Yeah.
Now, what are you going to learn in the truck series?
Yeah.
Now, especially being her in the spotlight she has, you know, even when she did end up at what was it, Thor, where it was like she was in a decent truck.
Yeah.
It didn't even matter.
No,
you know,
she gets eaten up. They race her way harder,
right,
you know?
Right. You're not going to learn anything there. So, you know, by the time people get into trucks, a lot of people have already run modifieds, late models, and have a little bit more experience than that. So, I just think it's a shame. And I think it's like Matt said it. Harrison Burton is what, 22, 23. She's got to be younger, 19, 20. A lot of time. If this is what she really wants to do, is committed and realize, hey, man, these people just tricked her into going on there and probably being part of this team. I don't know if they're going to be serious or not going forward. But if she is serious, then you have time, Hailie. Get your shit together, take whatever you can, and like just get a better opportunity where people are going to help. Like,
take that.
I think that's what she's doing. I think she stepped away realizing I'm not going to progress my career in the seat that I have right now. So I'm gonna take the hit on the chin now, and I'm going to go find something that's different than what I have.
It's like what we talked about a couple weeks ago. Dale Jr. was talking about it. Denny Hamlin was talking about it. What's better, handful of races and good equipment, or a full season and bad equipment? You know, what's going to get you progress further? Take your family money, take whatever sponsorship money you can. Get in the ears of Joe Gibbs. He has a part-time driver all the time running 3-4 races in a year, and see what you could do. I know his contracts usually like he'll pay you out if you get a top 5 or something like that. You
Ryan
know,
Truex is doing it.
That's
with Gibbs.
what he's been doing it for years.
When he gets in the car, he does well, and eventually something's going to stick for him, or it should.
Because it helps build that. The sponsors see it. They want to give you more money so you can run more races. You know, it's a tough business though. It really is. And even Dave Booty said it too. He goes, the back of the pack's going to race Hailie Deegan a lot more differently than they're going to race Joey Logano in that car coming down. You know, he goes,
and I said that too. I brought this up years ago, when this whole thing came up again with Hailie Deegan with the trucks and moving here and going to this team, and I think she was switching teams or something. And she raced in the SRX series, and she's racing with some high-profile championship drivers there that now they could have been lying through their teeth, but there were a couple races there where she held her own against those top-notch 10, some of the best drivers in the world.
Yeah.
In their respected series or whatever. She was holding her own. Why would they even invite her if she couldn't race a race car or didn't know what she was doing? So, I
was going to say, look at who her dad is. Look at the environment in which she grew up with. Like, she's no push around, you know.
Right. She's always going to be competitive. I think that's just their nature. Like, I don't think they're going to do anything half-assed. You know what I mean? And it's like you said, her dad is like, I don't think he would allow that, you know, and he's not going to waste his time and his money. So it just, I think, you know, don't give up, you know, if I'm her, and just, you know, you're young enough to where you could jump around to 3 more places and still have time to maybe find yourself and get it together. So, you know, the money and the sponsorship helps big time. Utilize it now while you still can.
I agree. But we have a race weekend to talk about as well in the streets of Chicago. What a weekend it was. SVG getting the win in the Xfinity Series, his 3rd road race win, or road course win, street course win, I don't know, of the season. Fellas, apparently I missed a fucking barn burner of a race. I didn't see the Saturday race. I'm going to go back and watch it on YouTube because I heard it was that great.
It might have been the best race I've seen easily in the last few years.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
One of the best Xfinity races I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I know Eric's going to expand on it during the checkers and wreckers, but apparently it was just a phenomenal race. And then the Cup race, it was rain shortened due to darkness. What's up?
Sorry, I was just gonna say the Xfinity race. So we had ordered pizza on Saturday night, and it just so happened that I thought the race was gonna be over by the time I ordered it. So I was like, oh, instead of getting delivery, I'll just go pick it up.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, damn it, like I gotta go get this pizza, And the race has a couple laps left, and so I went to DeMuro's, which is a couple minutes from the house.
Yeah.
So I'm driving and I'm listening and everything, and there's a caution. So I'm like, well, I can't run into DeMuro's, right? Because I don't know how sometimes they take forever. So I'm just gonna sit in my car. And so I watched the end of the race on my phone in DeMuro's parking lot. I go into DeMuro's to get my pizza, and here they have the race on the whole time.
No way.
I would have just stood right there and watched it, but
you want to know what? It's a good thing you didn't, because they would have handed you your pizza while you're still watching the race. You're like, fuck, now I got to drive back.
I got to leave.
Yeah. At least while you're in the parking lot waiting, that bad boy's sitting on top of that hot oven, staying warm still. Like, I think you made the right decision, Matt.
Great pizza. Pizza.
Fantastic pizza. How many coupons you got clipped on those boxes? Yeah.
They have coupons on the boxes?
Oh, every box is
Every
a coupon.
box has a coupon. You collect 10, you get a free pie.
Yeah. You gotta cut out one of the tabs.
You been throwing away these boxes all these years?
Oh, I could have had, yeah.
Anyways, the Cup race, Alex Bowman led once for 8 laps. Felt like a lot longer than that. Those laps were longer than I remember from last year. You look at the road course on the map, it's like, oh, it's kind of short, it's square. It's like, no, these laps last a while. We saw 5 cautions for 19 laps, 9 lead changes among 6 different drivers. The race lasted 2 hours, 19 minutes, and 24 seconds. That includes there's a rain delay in between there, red flag for that. Your top 5, Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, Joey Hand, and Michael McDowell. Boy, did I think Ty Gibbs might have got his first win of his career in Chicago.
I called it. I tried. Well, almost
tried. Yeah, you're close on that one. Man, you're killing us in the points too. I don't know if you looked at the updated points standings, but
it's the only thing I'm winning, and of course I'm watching it.
But fellas, what was your thoughts on the race? We'll start with Eric for the race grades.
Okay, I'm going to give the race event a B. Like I'm giving it a B. I think there's possibility for this race to be an A+.
Yeah.
I think the rain is unfortunate. I just hate that back-to-back years we didn't finish the race. I just hate the fact that it had to go to a timing thing at the end. We were about to see some awesome battles, and it's just unfortunate that everything surrounding it happened once again. But I thought the racing itself was awesome. Xfinity race killed it. I even think the Cup race was good up until you have your obviously rain delays and cautions, and almost had a Coda situation again where it was raining too hard when they were all out there.
Yeah.
And, so
dangerous.
some of that made it a little sloppy and made it a little messy. But when I kind of try to black all of that out and just remember the battles in the racing and how tight that course is, and some of the spots that you have to be ballsy to make passes in, I really, really do like the setup of this street course. So I did give it a B as a whole, because I think it just didn't get its fair shake here. Hope it doesn't get knocked out of the schedule. Which
Bless you.
Questionable, but I enjoyed the weekend.
I agree with you, man. I really hope it doesn't get knocked out of the schedule either. I think we saw a lot more potential this year than we did last year, where last year it was kind of single file restarts, all that stuff. And I'm surprised how technical this course really is for it being
It
just
is.
two like
Really,
squares.
yeah.
It's really technical.
Best road
No
course we
room
have.
for error. Yeah, I think it is the best road course we have. It was so much fun
It's the
to watch.
braking zones, Whitey. Like you said, it takes so long to get around the racetrack, not because of maybe the overall size of it. I think it's because there's so many corners where you're downshifting and you're coming almost to a complete stop in some of these turns going around. They're so, not that they're sharp, but narrow. You can't, there's barriers on both sides of you in a street course. Road course, it's open. You feel comfortable. You feel like you have a lot of room moving through these turns and maybe cutting a corner here or there, getting to a little bit of grass. At a street course, there's barriers on either side of you. You can't screw up. You can't make a mistake. So that is what really, I think, propelled this up my list as far as road course, street courses, because a single lap alone, watching that from a car like a driver, is exciting in and of itself.
Yeah. Oh,
you know,
yeah.
you watch those qualifying laps.
It was amazing.
Like, I was watching qualifying, and it was awesome watching qualifying. And I think it delivered, and I think it deserves to stick and stay.
Can I tell you guys? So again, I didn't get to watch live. So I was following your text messages and stuff, and when you guys were like, "Oh man, Tyler Reddick blew it" and stuff, I was expecting like the worst, right? And then I saw, he just kind of brushed a corner, and then he hit the wall there too, but kept going. I was like, man, this course is so technical and tight. He was on dry tires, and that area alone of like track where you could see that it's dry enough to not make errors. I'm like, I don't think it was as bad. I think he beat himself up for it, where I'm like, man, I don't know. I can't fault the guy. This is a tough fucking course to drive, you know? And I don't know.
No, I could easily fault the guy. He had the fastest car. He was on he was on slick, dry tires. And you know, he was gonna win that race by a mile.
I don't think he would. I don't think, because there's no.
Yes, he was.
Yes,
he was.
Yeah.
He was gonna win that race.
That's the thing, though. I don't know if he could make a pass once Bowman starts blocking, because Bowman had wet tires where he could go all over the place. Who knows? Like, honestly, I watched
the timing loop. It showed it. If that race went full out, he would have easily got him.
Yeah,
Bell would have too if he never got caught up in that shit.
Well, yeah, by time, but I'm telling you, look at the dry patch of road where he was and how tight it was, how tight that box was. I don't know if he could make that pass.
He missed it by a mile. He admitted it.
Nah, it wasn't that bad, man. Go back and watch that shit. It wasn't that bad.
I don't have to. I watched it live.
Yeah.
And he reddicked. He overdrove.
That is what it is. If this is the first time he's done this, we're not shit on him like this at all.
I know.
We're making a point of the whole entirety of this is so Reddick.
I understand that.
But we love Reddick.
I know.
I want Reddick I want my boys to win races so we can all lift each other up. Like,
I get it.
No, I agree with what you're saying. I think it was a minimal thing. I think it was something that multiple people did. SVG did that in that same turn.
They brushed it the whole day. It wasn't that bad.
I get where you're coming from, but when you start adding them up,
I get that.
It's sad to say, like, you know, they've been adding up when, like, as soon as Matt texted that, I was already thinking the same thing when he texted it, like, oh, he just, no way. Like, even before he hit the wall, I'm like,
Reddick.
Yeah,
I don't get it was already there building.
I get it.
He got out of that, and like I knew going back to last week, his post-race interview, finishing second. Oh, you finished second. You want to kill yourself.
Third.
Like I knew before he got out of that car, like I can't go anywhere until I see what this guy has to say, because he might shoot himself.
He was deflated
on national television.
Yeah.
And so like I thought the NBC crew was going to hand him like the 1-800 suicide line number to help talk him off the ledge, because that dude is so down on himself. Like, it's just breathe. It's going to be okay. You're running second, like continuously, like you're going to start winning more races. You have already got to win this year. Like, it's okay.
I get it. I'm just saying, for how technical the course is, I didn't think it was that egregious of an error. Anyways, Matt, what's your race grade?
So
I wish I didn't bring it up.
If you're watching on YouTube and you go back about 4 or 5 minutes while Eric was giving his race grade, you can see my reaction to me Xing out of my notes. I lost my notes, so I'll just kind of riff here. So The racing was an A+. Like I'm telling you, like if everything could go right for that track, like everything, like the racing itself is awesome. The backdrop is awesome. Like it's so unique and it's so different. And I know like other racing series have street courses and everything, but this is the first time for NASCAR. But like that backdrop specifically, seeing the railroad cars,
seeing the subways and stuff,
and the skyscrapers and Lake Michigan right there, like everything about it's awesome. It just keeps getting like, dude, it was. I heard Bianchi and Gluck say, because they were boots on the ground in Chicago. I heard them say on their podcast, The Teardown, that there was a 10% chance of rain that morning. A 10% chance of rain for the day.
It's insane.
And it just got a complete washout. And it just sucks because, like Eric said, like I'd even go as far as saying, like, without even being there, just from everything I saw on social media, I think the event as a whole was an A+. And it seemed good until it wasn't. I was enjoying it until I didn't. And, you know, yeah, Mother Nature, you can't really factor that in because it happens. But we had standing water on the track. We had the top probably 2 cars get destroyed and you know, get taken out of the race. And it was just, I don't know, it became kind of a debacle. And yes, we did see an awesome chase down with Reddick and Bell at the end with Bowman and Joey Hand and all that. Like, it was great racing at the end. And the countdown clock was awesome. Like,
yeah, it was.
Down, like, you want to experiment with like the All-Star race, like let's experiment with the countdown clock, because that was pretty fucking cool. Like, I don't know how you guys, we really didn't talk about that yet, so we could maybe use this as a time to talk about it. But
well, we don't have time to talk about it in this segment. Awesome. We don't have time to talk about it in this segment. We could talk about it in the checkers and wreckers, because we got 10 minutes before the call ends, and I don't like to push it that far. What? Anyways.
Why don't we just end it here? We'll start a new call.
Yeah, right. What are we doing?
Yeah, there's 9. I see the timer 9 minutes at the top.
I know. Well, I just want to get through my race grade too.
Man,
and
Brady, I was just starting to peak with the countdown clock conversation.
All it is, yeah, it's fucking cool, man. I agree. All right, let's get into it. And I just want to do my race grade until we restart the call, so I don't have a nice transition. Sorry to give everyone a view behind the velvet rope, but we don't pay for Google Meet, so we only have an hour for each call.
We have 9 minutes left in this segment. I don't need 9 minutes to talk about the fucking countdown clock.
I don't see the clock on my screen like you guys see it, so I don't know how many minutes. 10 minutes was a guess, and it was a generous guess.
How ironic is it that we're talking about the countdown clock of our own podcast while trying to talk about the countdown clock of the race?
I thought it was great. I really did. I thought it was awesome. It was. Will I make it to the checkers and wreckers? We will see.
I'm a viewer. I'm reaching for that dial right now to change podcasts.
Anyways, I thought it was great. I thought it was great too. I was a little confused where it's like, okay, time is ended. Now we have 2 laps, but I really enjoyed that too.
I just thought like not the anxiety, but like the excitement of like just something about a countdown clock. It's like, oh my God, we have 9 minutes left. Like, holy shit. And like, that'll bring me actually to my checkers and wreckers later on. But because there was a part in the countdown that I didn't like on NASCAR's part, but overall, just watching that thing count down and knowing like, yo, boys, you got to go. Like, I know it's the same thing when you're watching the lap countdown, but it's just something about a time.
That's all that I kept thinking in my head was this is nothing other than just a different form of saying the race is about to end.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just
the only reason it's exciting is because we're addicted to movies in Hollywood and we think a bomb's going to go off. So it's like, it's all Hollywood that brainwashed you thinking that is more exciting than just watching a number go down a lap.
Or when you have pizza in the microwave and you're just watching that bad boy count down, you just can't wait for the end.
Yeah.
You always got to pull it at 1 too.
Always.
You can't let it go. It can't let it beep. The baby's sleeping. Whatchamacallit? I was gonna bring up the timer in my records. That's why I wanted to wait for it anyways. But yeah, totally agree. I was listening to NASCAR radio today, and Dave Moody was going back and forth. It seems like it's split 50-50. A lot of older fans didn't like the lap counter, or they're like, I understand why they had to do it for this one, but I just don't like the reasoning for it. Which I get it. It's the same deal where it's like, I hate when races end early, even though they've gone past halfway, but because it's raining, because it's like, why don't they have lights? It's just a circumstance, you know?
Yeah, you're always going to get the people that are going to complain, oh, the race ended under caution. Well, yeah. We talked about this last week. I'm fine with it ending under caution. If it's going to prevent a 3 or 4 consecutive green, white, checker debacle, the top 15 cars are going to get taken out. Someone undeserving, Joey Logano, might win the race because of something dumb like that. So, yeah, I could see people getting upset, but it is what it is.
No, I agree. And whatchamacallit? Fuck, I lost. I like that they have it in their back pocket. You know, I like that it's available, and I like that they gave teams enough notice where it's like, hey, 8:30, whatever time, it's like that's when it ends.
Well, it was useful for that scenario, which they didn't have this last year.
Yeah.
So at least I think someone said they gave the teams 3-hour advance of knowing that was going to be what it was going to be. So the crew chiefs, they all knew 8:20. Bam, this is it. It's gonna be a lap and then another, and then we're over. So everybody knew, and there it's fair playing field. So I did like that they gave him a heads up.
I know what's different about it though, compared to the normal laps just ticking down, is like it doesn't stop. Like it doesn't.
No. Cautions.
Just which leads me. I'll get into that in a little bit. It's, you know, I know the segment's coming to an end here, but yeah, I wanted to just mention that I personally thought it was a cool little thing that we saw.
Yeah, I agree. And then there was one more thing I want to say about it. Oh, I think we should establish a time for every single week, regardless, even if the public knows it or not, that the crew chiefs know it, where it's like, this is the time in case this scenario happens. Because
tracks without lights. Yeah. For tracks without lights.
Yeah, Pocono, because we saw a similar situation in 2020 during the pandemic, during the Sunday race. I don't know if you remember how late that one ended, but it was dark on TV, and I remember looking out the window being like, how are they seeing anything happen?
The Truck Series race this Friday, it's scheduled for, I think green flag is like 5:45 or something like that. A couple cautions, and we're going to see cautions because it's the Craftsman Truck Series. Yeah. I mean, it gets dark. It's 8:25 now, and it's still light enough out, but like the backstretch is a mile away from you, literally a mile away from you. It gets dark quick. So they've got 3 hours to get that truck race in, which should be plenty of time. But if there's a lot of wrecks, like we might see it take place on Friday night.
Then we saw the same thing happen in New Hampshire a couple years ago when Eric Almirola won. They ended that race early, and they gave like the crews like, I don't know, like a 10-lap notice, which was like barely anything too, which I thought was shitty. So at least now if everyone has those times established, it's a more even playing field, I think. You know, some other thing to keep in the back of the crew chiefs' minds. And I agree with both you guys. Like I said, I consumed the race a little bit differently, so I watched it the next day. I was able to skip over all the rain delay bullshit. I did watch a little bit of the pre-show, which I enjoyed that they showed the spectacle event that was going on, like the Chainsmokers concert, stuff like that, where it was a big event. It's the event we wanted to see last year, and we finally got to see it. The whole weekend wasn't impacted by rain like last year was, and I thought it was great all around. Like you guys said, I agree. The racing was awesome. I give it a B+. I really, really love this wet weather package, and I really enjoyed that NASCAR gave the teams the option right from the bat. They didn't mandate anything like they did a couple weeks ago in New Hampshire, where it's like, hey, put on rain tires, put on dry tires. It's all up to you. I don't know. Were the first couple pit stops competitive? Or they were. Where you could pit anytime. You just have to be careful sliding into those boxes. I think they really knocked it out of the park for the circumstances that they found themselves in. I thought it was great.
Do you think the race would have been better without, like, do you think, like, without any of the rain and the wet weather stuff, would it have lived up? Like, what do you think would have happened? Like,
I think it would have. I think it would have just been different. You know, I think we would have saw more guys push the limits and see more guys hit the wall and
that's
get
why
into tire
I think I
barriers
like
and
the
stuff.
wet weather aspect,
Where
because
it
it
keeps
kept the race calmer.
little
It kept everybody
conservative.
racing. They were racing obviously like over the limits towards the end there, but I do think that it might have been a little bit more carnage if it went full dry race.
No, I agree. And if anyone's wondering, if you're watching on the YouTube, I just moved our logo so you can see the countdown clock. We are at 2 minutes.
I was curious because I mentioned that the backstretch is a mile away. It's actually about a half mile away, which is still crazy.
Well, yeah, because the front stretch of Pocono is a mile long. So what is it?
I just looked on maps. It's you can measure it. It's
squared
like
plus b squared equals c squared. Pythagorean theorem, isn't that something?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy, buddy.
Anyways, we're under a minute, fellas. Let's get into the checkers.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
Talking in, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't, Whitey. You can't hear the sounders.
Oh, you can't this week? I'm sorry. Yeah, you want to know? I think I did something on the board when I plugged it in. I fucked it up. It'll work on the next call.
Whitey,
just
get
let
your
it
wallet out because we're about to pay for this call, brother.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
All right. Since we started with Daytona Ron for the race grades, let's start with Matt for the checkers and wreckers.
So my checkers goes to Bowman, not just for winning the race, but for essentially making the call himself, right? He Blake Harris asked him, his crew chief asked him, what do you think out there? And Bowman said, listen, we're on wets. If I come in and get slicks, we're on wets and we're out front now. If I come in and get slicks, we're going to be in traffic. We're not going to have a shot, but we at least have a shot if I just stay out. Yeah. And so Blake Harris is like, yeah, man, I trust you. That's good enough for me. And they stayed out and won the race. So they gambled on themselves and it paid off. I love seeing that shit.
Side note, no idea Caitlin Vincey was married to Blake Harris until.
Oh, yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a great call, especially this time of the season. You gotta throw those Hail Melon. Those Hail Marys. I did, yeah. You gotta throw those Hail Marys though. Lock yourself in. He was good on points, but again, you have a rough
streak. You don't
streak.
know though, dude.
Exactly.
You don't know.
Yeah. Right now, what we're looking at, what was it? 12 winners. We could easily get 5 more winners. I mean, I don't see it happening, but you never know. But yeah, great call. I agree. Great checkers, Matt. How about your wreckers?
My wreckers, so it goes to, we were just talking about the timer. It goes to NASCAR throwing the yellow and stopping the competition while the clock was still rolling at the end of stage 2. And I get it. Like, rules are rules. You gotta. The rule is we're gonna stop the competition. We're gonna throw the yellow at the end of stage 2. But at that point, we're bending all these sorts of fucking rules the way it is. We're kind of winging it. We're kind of going, by the seat of our pants. Why don't you just announce right before you go back racing? Because you already knew when they went back racing after the rain delay, they already knew that no matter what, they weren't getting the full racing. That's why they implemented the clock.
Yeah.
At that point, you also announce, hey, listen, we're also coming up on the end of stage 2. We're not going to throw the yellow, race through it.
We'll just pay points.
It wasted 5 to 10 minutes of that clock being under caution like that. So I don't know. I just didn't understand that whole scenario. If you want to play by the rules at that point, I think you threw the rule book out. So maybe you guys want to rebuttal that, but I thought it was bullshit that they threw the yellow there.
I just wonder if they threw it just because crew chiefs were probably already planning for that pit stop to occur.
Yeah, I think strategy would have been thrown out the window. Already, teams were already in line for that stage break in their calculations, and I think you would have had to just say, hey, we're going to go cautionless from the start.
Yeah.
I think
right, but it would have been, start. If there was, right. But like devil's advocate is, sure, they might have had a strategy, but let's just say they get back racing before the end of stage 2 and there's a caution already. That throws that strategy out the window immediately.
Well, so whatchamacallit, Zane Smith, he finished 17th, but he was on a one-stop strategy, if I remember correctly. That's why he led laps in the second stage there. Where now, if you say like, hey, like, I'm sure like there was crew chiefs that planned for both those stage breaks, and that's what created their strategy. Of course, things change on the fly, but I still think it's just unfair to the competition to take away one of those planned stops that maybe you were planning on anyways, you know? Where like
I just think
even
NASCAR
during
wants
that
a restart too. They love restarts. Punch them up. NASCAR wants that. They're gonna any opportunity to get that field stacked up for like a mayhem or someone to slide or take somebody out. I think that was maybe in play as well there. But
plus you have to think
more
too,
of a competition side.
Yeah, you have to think too. That's a built-in television break for commercials too. You know, and NASCAR, like NBC relies on that. That's how they pay the bills. That's how they pay for $1 billion contract. You know, so. I don't know.
It all could have been prevented if NASCAR did one thing, and that's start the race at noon or 1 o'clock, and you don't run into any of this.
Well, that gets into my records then, because my records was the start time, just because it was the only downfall I could see of that whole entire race weekend.
Yep, I agree.
But at the same time, without it, we don't see the rain race we did. So it's like, well, maybe it was just as good.
I would have preferred not to see a rain race.
Right.
Yeah.
I would. I'll take the start time noon or 1. I think because you don't have a next day.
Yeah.
This is a completely different racetrack and scenario where, okay, there's no lights and you don't have an opportunity to come back the next day.
Yeah.
So right then and there, you should, as NASCAR, be like precedent.
Build
noon,
in as much leeway as possible.
Because we need as much daylight and as much opportunity to dry if it does rain to get it in. Like I just think NASCAR dropped the ball.
Even 2 o'clock, 2:30. Like get the race started when we're usually starting races on other weekends anyway. Like that race, the green flag was at 5 p.m. Like,
yeah.
That's what was that? Like,
that was just insane.
I mean, I'm sure the city of Chicago had a say. TV obviously always has a say.
And then because of the weather, it took almost till 5:20 something before they threw the green flag too. So now you're wasting another 20 minutes on top of an already a regionally late start to begin with.
If they started at a 2:30 start time, which would have been 1:30 locally out there. Like the race could have been over by the time they.
We're talking about an A+ race and how awesome it was if that happens. That's what irritates me is that we have such good stretches like that, and then NASCAR always ends up with a weekend like this where it's like, dude, the what ifs, like, come on, man, you know what I mean? Like that overshadows shit. We've been talking about how the best car has won in the last couple of weeks, and that's awesome when the race goes organic and. It just sometimes you have weekends like this where, you know, it turns out the way it turns out, but it's unfortunate.
No, I agree. And let me get to my checkers then, too, since I already gave the records. I have to give it to Joey Hand. To be honest with you, started dead last and pulled off a 4th place finish is huge. I know he's on the Bowman strategy with the wet weather tires in the end, but for a guy we've seen pop up in races a few years ago with various opportunities at road courses in pre-2024 Rick Ware equipment, I had no idea how talented of a road course driver he was. He's raced sports cars and IMSA and stuff like that, but I thought he ran a fantastic race, and I hope he gets a couple more part-time starts due to this finish. And I have to give credit too to Brad Keselowski because, man, does he know how to see. He's got an eye for talent, just hands down.
Well, it sucks. I said this, a few shows ago. I'm over people like Joey Hand. I said it. Hand up to God. I hate those people that come in, Boris said, and all these people trying to come in. But there's an exception, I think. All of those people go to shit fucking equipment and cars every time they come up to try to do one of those races. And they end up just crashing and being it's just a disaster.
It's a waste of a spot.
So this just goes to show those guys go into a capable, competitive car like RFK and that 60 car was. Beautiful looking car.
Great looking car. Yeah, that was a cool car.
Like it just shows like he battled Bowman. Like that was an awesome battle for the few laps there. And I'm I'm glad to see that one finally finished top 5 in good equipment because, man, their track record, it literally had me being like, what are they doing here?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, what's the point? Why even be out in the
Right.
field if you're going to finish 2 laps down in 30-second, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, I was really impressed. And like you said, we saw a great battle because of it. Led once for 7 laps, so good on Joey Hand. Someone made a slide job joke. I forget where I saw that.
Grow up.
Right.
I saw a bunch of like, oh, what if Joey Hand won? Or so like, I saw that.
But whatchamacallit, Eric, what's your checkers and records for the weekend?
My checkers goes to that SVG versus Kyle Larson battle in the Xfinity race.
Yeah.
That battle, I feed me that. Inject that directly into me. It was some of the hardest, fastest, most technical, aggressive, but clean racing I've ever seen. Those two, they had respect. I think Larson was sick of hearing SVG's name because Larson knows that, hey, he's one of the best. He wants to be the best. You got to beat the best. So he's whooping ass on the ovals. Larson, his whole mindset was, I have to go out and beat this guy. He's supposedly the best. I'm supposedly the best. I can't let this guy overshadow this. Like, what is it? Everyone's SVG this, SVG that. And man, Larson, first turn, he goes to pass him first lap, aggressive. Shane passes him back on that lap. Yep. They're going, and it's literally back and forth, passing, moving slightly a little bit, testing it out, feeling each other, and how, okay, you race me this way, I'll race you that way. And it just became this super competitive, awesome racing around, like Matt said, like the course itself being technical and watching them squeeze through. And it was mind-boggling what those two were able to do because everyone else behind them, they were just checked out. Like everybody knew that it was like, don't even show the rest of the field. Just get them off the racetrack. Just let me watch SVG versus Kyle Larson for the next 200 laps. Like, I don't even care at that point. It was that good of a battle. And on Sunday, I think we were shaping up to see that exact same battle. And it's a shame the way that it ended with those two cars being taken out. But man, that Xfinity race was top-notch shit.
Yeah, that battle's the reason why I said, like, I have to go back and watch it because I was listening to DBC this morning, and man, what a turnaround Brett Griffin has had, where last year he was calling him that Shane guy, and this week, if you listen to DBC, he was on his knees, mouth open, gargling SVG's
That's what I said
balls.
about Junior. All those guys that were like, oh, like if he doesn't finish top 3, and every single time he steps in a car, he sucks. He's out. Oh, don't give him a shot. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? And they weren't being disrespectful. Like, calling him all that shit. Like, I noticed that shit too.
And whatchamacallit, they were saying how good that racing was and how clean SVG was, where they're like, he was toying with Larson half that time. Where
it looked like it.
Where he's like,
he knew where he could get around him and what to do. Yeah.
So I can't wait to go back and watch that race. I'm definitely gonna watch it because I heard it was absolutely amazing. Where they even said, like, you could put a piece of paper in between those bumpers and that's how close they were racing each other. So anyways, Matt, you got anything to add? Or
No, I'm just along for the ride, man.
All right.
So my wreckers is Bubba Wallace.
Yeah.
Smashing into Bowman on the cool down lap. Bowman is literally winding it down, wiping his sweat from his eyeballs after he just won a race.
Yeah.
And he just gets smashed into. Like, and I'm not saying that light. Like, he didn't just like, oh, some drivers go up, they'll bump your bumper, or they'll give you a little tire rub or something. Bubba smashed into the 48 and got
he hit
the
that
48
wall.
to
It
go
made it
into
look
the
a lot
wall.
worse too. Yeah.
And like,
as soon as he caught that Jersey Berry, he hopped up a little bit.
But it's just, this is ever recurring for Bubba Wallace. Like, does Bubba, like, okay, Bubba did that. Okay, the 48 took Bubba Wallace out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Bubba acts like he's never taken anybody out in a race before.
Yeah.
Not only does he act that way, like, look at the circumstances in this race that you got taken out in, the most technical race, it's wet, and the tight corners in there, everybody was wrecking. Everybody got spun out.
Yeah.
Look at the way you reacted and acted, and look at the way SVG acted and reacted to his race being ended when he was probably going to be the winner of that race.
Yeah.
He didn't act the way that Bubba Wallace acted.
Yeah.
So it's just like, man, I tried to defend him so many times. I try to point out when he's doing well, and he always just does something dumb so that the media just keeps portraying him in a way of this. And it's like, dude, you can't use your car as a weapon. You're a veteran now in this sport. You have to have a clearer head. You can't be doing this. Same week that there's penalties issued for rigs and in the lower series, Hocevar rookies.
Yeah.
No, that's rookie drivers doing that shit in lower series. Okay, they get fines. You're Bubba Wallace, a veteran in the Cup Series. You shouldn't be following suit after someone just got fined in lower series. It's just, at this point, man, like,
Yeah.
Bubba, why? What was the benefit in him doing that?
So-
where did
Yeah,
this
I don't see any benefit from it, but I can see the frustration, you know, and no defense either. But because I knew the result of it and I knew what happened, I was watching their early on race really close, and they were racing the shit out of each other all that first stage. They were around each other really hard, and they were giving it to each other even then. So I don't really know.
I just think the thing with Bubba is like, I mean, I don't think they're going to give him a points penalty, but when you're below the cut line, but you're still within striking distance, like you can't be doing anything to risk getting any type of penalty.
I think that's where the frustration and stuff comes too,
I think
though.
it's just be a fine penalty, and it'll probably be tomorrow that we hear about that. But like, you got it. Like, and I know, listen, I get it.
I don't think
he's
they
got
fine
things
him.
going on upstairs. I get that, but like, you have got to have the wherewithal to know. And the thing that pisses me off too is like Alex said, like, yo, like, first of all, one of the first things he said after he just won the goddamn race was he gets out of the car and he's apologizing up and down, saying how embarrassed he was that he accidentally took him out, and it was a mental lapse and it was a judgment error. But he also said, like, all throughout that rain delay, like, I tried reaching out to Bubba.
Yeah.
I tried apologizing. Like, I tried calling him. I tried texting him. Like, I was apologizing to him. And to me, in the spirit of competition, like, the guy didn't just murder his family. Like, he just actually took him out during a race. Like, in the spirit of competition, somebody apologizes, reach out, is the bigger man saying, hey, I was wrong. I apologize. You could be mad at me, but like, I just want you to know I was wrong. Like, that, in my mind, should be enough to be like, at least not warrant a smashing into the wall after the guy just won the race.
Because there was an attempt made,
why
yeah.
it became my wreckers map, because of that exact thing. If I never saw that, like, Bowman, or heard that Bowman said that, like, hey, like, I reached out to him during the rain delay, even before the race was even close to being over, and to that point, either. It's like, man, like, you reached out. Like, you once Bowman reached out, Bubba has no right to do what he did at the end of that race, in my opinion, as well as yours, Matt. Like, I agree with that. And like, I'm like, man, I go, that's just, you're just being extra salty and you're looking for trouble.
Yeah.
That tells me you're looking for trouble.
You're looking for it. Because everyone's on their phone. You're seeing his text. You're seeing his.
End it. Over with. Right then and there, over with.
Right. Right.
Now I'm sitting here talking about him, you know?
Right.
See, I didn't know that piece of the story, because that does change things, because at least there's an attempt to apologize for what I, said with the first stage stuff. So,
like, Bowman straight up said, like, I'm embarrassed by the way I accidentally took him out. Like, he has every right to be mad at me, which I'm sure he even said in the text message. Like, dude, like, I apologize. You have every right to be mad at me, but like, I apologize. I was in the wrong there. Like, sorry.
Yeah.
And Bubba sees that and actively says, nah, I'll get him back. Like,
and it's not like it's on an oval where like someone like dive bomb or slits, like try to do a slide job and you got hooked and you took him out. Dude, this is on a road course that's so tight and technical. Like, of all places for Bubba to lash out, this was not the one. DeCindric took out Denny Hamlin at the end, overdrove it. Look at Priest. Look at Briscoe. What he did, he flying in there. People were messing up left and right. So it's like, I don't know. I don't think this was the time for him to do that. If you're gonna,
if we're gonna go at Bubba, I want to be in the spirit of fairness. The reason why Bowman wiped him out is because he was playing around with his windshield wiper, He straight up said he took his eye off the track, and he was playing around with the dial in the car, and he just wasn't paying attention. He overdrove the turn and took out Bubba. So like that's also inexcusable. Like so there's a part of me. I don't know if Bubba knows that, you know, before, during, or after the apology or whatever, if he just learns that with the rest of us. But like that's bullshit too. Like, dude, like you are in a competitive race right now, like, and obviously with the car good enough to win because he went on and won, and you're messing up other people's days because you're playing with a dial. Like, we're not on 476 playing with the fucking Sirius XM radio. Like, you're in the middle of a race. Like, you can't be doing that.
Well,
you want to see out your windshield or not?
Yeah,
I mean,
you know, if you're looking for it, you know.
Fair. Okay, fair, but still, all right. I don't know.
I would say if it was a dry race at Watkins Glen and they're messing with the windshield to get at the right angle for some downforce reason, then yeah, like that's inexcusable. But if it's actively raining, and
I don't know,
too,
dude. Denny said on his podcast that he couldn't see anything. He was just following the red lights.
Yeah.
So at that point, like, you just got to be the ultimate.
But that's with the wiper on,
I know. Listen, I'm armchair quarterbacking. I wouldn't be able to do it, but like playing with the dial seems like a pretty big mistake to be doing when you're coming up to a turn.
Well, I mean, how many guys have we seen spin out coming to pit road because they're trying to change their brake bias and stuff like that? That's usually what causes. That's usually what causes those wrecks where they're adjusting their brake bias and then they hit the brakes and it fucking
and
locks
then they can't
up.
turn and they go sideways.
You know, like shit happens. You know,
that is true.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't see NASCAR fining Bubba for it though, because we saw incidents like this not too long ago. I think it was Martinsville, Martin Truex Jr. Roughing people up.
I agree, Whitey, that like they probably shouldn't agree with Bowman. They probably shouldn't fine him. I think they should fine him.
Yeah.
I think that
like
for precedent for NASCAR, like, hey, this is what you do.
No.
But like, it's like Matt said, Bubba, you're right on the cut line. Something you can't be doing this shit when you're in these. It seems like when he's always in these scenarios, like I'm not gonna. Every time he's in these moments, he does something like this where it's like, I'm done. I'm done with him always doing dumb shit like this when there's adversity. And dude, all those other drivers out there are going through adversity, Bubba. Like, you're not the only one dealing with this shit. You know what I mean? Like, everyone else, there's other people on the cut line too. You know what I mean? And every time shit doesn't go your way, you can't just go out and smash someone and get mad about it. You know, like, you have to learn yourself there. As your skill behind the wheel has to get better, you have to get this better too. And how many opportunities has he gotten at this point? You know, like, it seems like he get a life coach, get this, and then something else happens, help him here. It's, in my eyes, I look at this. You help somebody a couple times, and when they're not helping themselves, I pull out. And this is me when Bubba doesn't answer the text. He's getting mad. He's on the cut line. His season isn't going the way it's going. Blah, blah, blah. I get it. Can't do that. I'm done. You're not helping yourself. He's not actively trying to get better. And like, I know these moments are tough, and it's, hey, this is professional sports though. So it's like, I'm a big proponent of mental health. I deal with a lot of stuff myself too, but you also have to deal with the scrutiny of being a professional athlete. Yeah. And when it comes up and it starts affecting your on-track performance and you start going after other people because of what you're going, that's when I start thinking it's a bigger issue than what's at hand. And it's like, I want Bubba to be great. I want him to get the help he needs if it's there. But like, this is an anger thing with him. I think we've known this, like, where it's like he gets mad, and he's dealing with the whole Eric Almirola thing on top of all this.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, how do you justify this guy not just being a fucking a problem and just a magnet for trouble?
He bull rushed Larson last year or 2 years ago out in the infield there. He threw with Bowman a couple years ago. He threw water in his face as Bowman was sitting on the ground overheating.
I just think he's a classless douchebag, to be honest with you.
I just don't think NASCAR should fine or penalize him for something we saw Martin Truex Jr. do at Martinsville earlier in the year, because he ran.
I absolutely think they should have fined MTJ for doing it back then. Don't know why they didn't. And I absolutely think that they should fine.
But the precedent's already been made this season. That's my point. You know.
Yeah, but the precedent's already been made.
Do the truck and Xfinity go off the same thing?
Well,
they just gave out 2 fines for the same shit.
That was during caution. It wasn't after the race, though. We saw Denny Hamlin do. We saw Denny Hamlin do the same.
That's the same thing.
The guy's window nose down and he drove him into the wall. It's a safety issue. They have to fine him.
Okay, I mean, I don't think it's the same as under caution when you have safety workers out on track and stuff like that. You know, it's a controlled. Yeah, you know what I mean. Denny Hamlin said the same thing. I know it's his driver, but we saw Denny Hamlin do the same thing to Alex Bowman at Martinsville 2 seasons ago. After the race ended, and they didn't, and that's why I'm saying we always say NASCAR's inconsistent. They would be inconsistent to fine Bubba Wallace for doing something we've seen everyone else do.
But they would just be doing what NASCAR does, is what they would be doing, which is going one way, going another way, and then going back the other way. Like,
exactly.
That's just what they do.
So I think NASCAR should show some consistency for once and not do anything.
I disagree.
Okay.
And while we're at it, Chase Elliott and
same thing.
Suarez.
Should Chase Elliott and Suarez get fined for the same exact thing in the same race?
Yeah, you want to
I think all those instances, I think we've all agreed that there should have been some kind of fine there.
But guess what? They're not going to, because it happens after every single race. How many times do you see guys door slam?
You want to put a chicken tendy basket during the Xfinity race on it that they get fined?
I guarantee they don't. Yeah, I'll put a chicken tendy basket on it. And the only reason why it looked so bad was because the wall was right there. They were doing like 30 miles per hour and he hopped the Jersey barrier. That's it. If that wall wasn't there and he just door slammed him and he went off into the grass or wherever a little bit, we wouldn't even be having this discussion right now. They probably wouldn't even show it on TV. We're at the street course with Jersey barriers. I understand. There was a wall there. I understand.
You can't just say hypotheticals. We were there. It was reality. It happened.
I know, but I'm saying that wall made it look a lot worse than it actually was.
But what I'm saying is, I don't care regardless if the wall is there or the wall is not there. My overall point of this is, I should have looked into this. The tiering system, doesn't that take into account prior offenses?
I mean, that's what NASCAR says.
That's where I looked at it. I'm looking at it like, hey, you get one L1 penalty. Like, now your next penalty is going to be even harsher because you already had one L1 penalty. So I'm looking at it in that mind frame of like, hey, I'm not singling out this incident. This incident was the cork exploding out of the top and being like, look at all the shit that's coming out following that. Yeah. Like it builds. And in my eyes, you can't, if this is a one-off thing and he's never known for doing this, by all means, NASCAR, look the other way. This happens all the time. Some guy just, they kind of had a disagreement, but he's known for doing shit like that.
So what happens if they find Bubba Wallace, but they don't find Chase Elliott?
That's a bullshit then. It's bullshit.
I'm not saying, I'm not going to say that's not bullshit. I'm not just trying to get Bubba Wallace.
I know, but didn't this just happen with someone last week too at Nashville? I can't remember who. It was like some backmarker shit.
Well, Carson Hocevar got, but that was
under caution. That was under caution, and that's exactly it. Cautions are cut the shit. We have a safety issue. There's a safety issue on track.
When the race ends,
race is over.
Go all balls to the wall, Whitey?
No.
You're crazy. There's no way you really believe that.
I'm not saying it's balls to the wall. I'm just saying we see it happen all the time. So now if he came up and congratulated him a little too hard and gave him the shot, and then he hits the wall, then he gets fined for context.
I understand.
Listen,
you ain't losing, Whitey.
Listen, I understand. I'm just saying.
Whitey, I'll say this and we can move on. I will take ranch dressing with my chicken tenders.
All right. Well, guess what? It's Tuesday and no fine came out, and usually the penalty report come out on Tuesday, so I don't think we're going to see anything. But if they do, I will get you ranch dressing with your chicken tendies, and I'll get myself a basket with barbecue sauce, because if you're getting
Bubba's still a classless scumbag.
All right. Anyways, whatchamacallit? Other than that, Ty Gibbs had a hell of a race, led twice for 17 laps. Let's see, Zane Smith led once for 3 laps. We talked about him earlier on that one pit strategy.
Whitey, I'll pause on him for a second. He actually looked competitive in a few of those laps when he was running up front with those boys. Like he held his own, and there was a couple times when he had his car sideways going down there and really keeping in the throttle. So I don't know.
I was shitting on him a couple weeks ago. I have to take that back because he was doing pretty well.
Yeah, and like even the 38, I think I mentioned in our text thread group, that the 38 was running really well up front too.
Oh,
and stayed up front.
He's just not consistent, but he shows signs.
Todd Gilliland finished 7th. You want to know what? I think they're going all in on Todd Gilliland next year, and I think it's the right choice. We've been talking about it since Daytona. He showed flashes of brilliance at Daytona, led laps. I think he led laps the next week at Atlanta. Like you said, Matt, when he shows it in spurts, you know?
Yeah.
Again, though, this is his first full-time season with that team. You know, last year he was in part-time. So
I just love the likes of Justin Haley's and the Todd Gillilands being competitive. Like, that is one benefit of this car. I know we bitched at how close it is and the passing, and that's the reason why. But it also does allow us to talk about a few more drivers than we normally would, because you know they are close in speed, and if they end up having a good day or this track benefits them a little more than the other drivers, they actually have a legit opportunity. And you know, it's weird to see, you know, the 38 running up front and the 51, just the numbers. I noticed that a couple weeks ago, just when Hailie, I'm like, 51. I'm like, that's a car you don't see often. I'm like, I kind of like the number. I'm like, the 51's
a cool number.
Bad.
51 is a cool number. It was the number in Days of Thunder. It was the number of Rowdy in the Truck Series.
Jonathan Vilma's number with the New York Jets.
Sure. Really.
But I do like to see like the likes of those guys in the back doing well. And, you know, it goes to show, like, I think Zane Smith and Hocevar, I think they're the future over there. It's Spire with what they're showing as far as speed-wise goes. But we'll see what McDowell could do over there. You know, I mean, that's because Zane Smith is kicked out. McDowell will be in that ride. But, it's these back markers are actually showing something, which rare.
So Zane Smith is on loan through Trackhouse, right? And they're looking for that third charter. I don't know if it's going to be for SVG or him. So he may very well move into a Trackhouse car. I think they have
to give that one to SVG. I don't see them not giving it.
And then let's see who else. Christopher Bell had a hell of a car. He led twice for 14 laps. Just unfortunately got taken out. What an accident that was too, because he saved it shortly before that, and then just fucking got turned. That fucked over Carson Hocevar's day too. I felt bad for you, Eric, because you asked like, 34 or 77.
I know.
And McDowell wasn't in a good spot at that point. It's like, 77. And he would have, I'm pretty sure Hocevar would have finished like 4th.
Well, he was my hope. Hocevar and I had Bowman in my fantasy lineup. Those are my two workhorses once Larson went down. And I'm like, ooh, maybe I'll have an opportunity because people were playing him. And
I think you finished 2nd or 3rd in fantasy this week anyways. It was a good performance.
Well, because I did what I did, Whitey. You didn't follow suit. I told you what to do.
Well, I still came in first.
Fantasy lineup?
Yeah.
He finished 3rd. Chris Buescher, Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs, and Carson Hocevar. That was a great lineup. I had Buescher too. He didn't do as well as we thought he would.
Buescher wasn't let down.
But I didn't play Larson, and I played SVG, but I moved him into the garage after he wrecked. So I got first. Because I bet against SVG in the head-to-heads, and I bet against Allmendinger in the head-to-heads. That's how I fucking got everybody. Fuck you guys. You got to play the opposite strategy sometimes, you know?
Oh, did you guys see Ross Chastain drive underneath and through and out of the one tire barrier?
No.
He must have been mashed in the gas. So that same barrier that everyone was smashing into, like sideways hitting off of, he smashed into it. The tires went completely up and over his car, and he just kept in the throttle, and all of a sudden you see him come out from under the tires.
No, I didn't see that.
I think it was on like the last lap, I think.
That's fantastic. And then SVG, he led twice for 9 laps. Unfortunately, here on the Bummer Run podcast, everyone loves to talk about the winner, one Alex Bowman on a Monday. And for once, we really did talk about the winner this week. But we also have to talk about the loser. And unfortunately, it was the guy who was picked to win by most people going into the race weekend. He was the odds-on favorite. It was Shane Van Gisbergen. Got himself caught up in a wreck with Chase Briscoe that ended his day. But I like that they kept still promoting the saucy nugs from Wendy's all throughout the race with him and stuff. So
I love listening to him. He's like, yeah, we got these saucy nugs here. They're the tasty, delicious thing. And like every interview, smile on his face, just happy to be there. Every single time, just happy to be there. Love that guy, man. Great for our sport. That's why I think that they need that third charter. They need him full time.
Yeah.
And he's just getting better and better in the Xfinity series on the ovals. He's learning.
He's definitely
just
becoming a
fun
fan
dude.
favorite.
You know what I just thought about? Like, I made this, like, I got Josh Berry next year, but, like, SVG, man, I think SVG to me is like he's everybody's other guy.
He's just a fan favorite, you know?
Fan favorite.
Because it's a cool story, you know? It's just a cool story he's got going on right now. You want to see him come over here and do well. But, boys, we started the show talking about how excited we were for Pocono. We're heading to the Pocono Mountains this week. Trucks on track, 5:30 for the CRC Brake Lean, 175 on FS1. Xfinity on track, 3 p.m. on USA for the Explore the Pocono Mountains, 225. Cup on track, Sunday, 2:30 on USA for the Great American Getaway 400, presented by VisitPA.com. And Pocono is a great getaway. Can't wait to be there. But to go over our picks from last week, I picked SVG. He got me 11 points. Eric, you picked William Byron. He got you 29 points. And then Matt, you picked Ty Gibbs. He got you 42 points, which means, Matt, you pick last. Eric, you pick second. And I pick first. And I was thinking about my pick, how well Toyota's run at Pocono. How my guy has been coming in top 5 finishes last couple weeks. But I'm going to be in attendance. And every race I go to, it seems, there's one Toyota driver that stands above them all. He's won at Pocono, I don't know how many times in my presence. He won at Dover this year in my presence. My brother bought a Denny Hamlin t-shirt for the Pocono weekend. And I'm thinking Denny Hamlin gets it done once again at my home track. It should be Denny's home track at this point. That's how good he is at Pocono.
Good pick. I agree with the Toyotas. I think the Toyotas, they've been fast. I think they're going to be fast, constantly running up front. And, you know, this, to me, I'm gonna go with my gut again with a win that I had a few weeks ago and why I picked that winner.
Yeah.
Consistency. Up front, battling, knocking on the door. Last year, who was knocking on the door? The 17. Busted out 3 wins after knocking on the door. Christopher Bell, knocking on the door, running good, gets that win. Who's knocking on the door right now? Who drives?
I didn't want to say it.
For Toyota. Who did we shit on in the beginning of this podcast? I'm going with the 45 of Tyler Reddick.
I love
Gets
it.
over that hump, gets his shit together, and he wins at Pocono Raceway for our boy Whitey home field win.
You took my pick, man. That's exactly Whitey.
He finished second here last year, didn't he?
But
run it like a road course. I just think this suits everything that is him. That's what Toyotas have been good at lately. It's going to be interesting. Bubba's also good here.
If he wins in Pocono in my presence, 2 runner-up finishes last 2 years. Of course, one was because Denny Hamlin got disqualified. If he wins, I might not make it out of that infield. You know. Anyways, Matt,
you made some valid points, Eric. Toyota runs really well at Pocono. Momentum is an extremely important thing. But where are we going to be? The Pocono Mountains, high up in the sky, pretty close to God.
Ooh.
Ty Gibbs has been knocking on the door.
Wow.
Oh, man, you're trying to ruin my weekend, man?
Ty Gibbs has been knocking on the door, and we've been saying it all year. The win is coming for him.
Yeah.
Ty Gibbs, this will be the first time I think any of us have picked back-to-back drivers. I picked Ty Gibbs last week for Chicago.
You did?
Picking him again. He's going to win at Pocono.
That's a good pick, Matt.
Didn't he get his first Cup start at Pocono because of Kurt going out? I
think he did. Yeah.
I think he did. I don't remember him starting in the Cup Series before that. Could you imagine him getting his first Cup start and his first Cup win at the same track. That's a story right there. I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind that at all. We'll find out, though. We're 20 races into the 2024 season. We have 12 different winners. William Byron, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, Brad Keselowski, Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, and Alex Bowman. Could Reddick get his second win of the season? Could Denny Hamlin make it number 4 for the season? Or will Ty Gibbs get his first win at his first Cup start track? We'll find out this Sunday, 2:30 on USA for the Great American Getaway 400 presented by VisitPA.com. And me and Eric will break it all down for you right here on the Bumper Run Podcast next Tuesday because Matt is going on vacation directly after the race. So hope you have fun on that one, man. Listen,
depending on where I'm at within my Tuesday night, depending on where I'm at, I mean, we'll be out to dinner at some point at that, when we're usually recording or doing something. But if I have some time, I'll hop on for a minute and say what's up.
Hop on your phone.
I'll try my best, depending on where we are and what we're doing.
All right. Well, if you're available, we'll talk to you on Tuesday, and if you're not, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks. Hope you have a great vacation. And for Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night. The Bump and Run.
There it is.